Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'll be reviewing my race that I had last week on August 10th. This is the normal DLD crit on Wednesday night. We're starting here a little bit into the neutral lap. Like always, we get one lap easy and then we begin racing. Today's race was about 30 minutes. So most people here at this race are preparing for the Sugar House Crit, which is the state championship race. There's the cat 4-5 field, 3-4, and 1-2-3. So I signed up for the 4-5 and the 3-4, going for the win in the 4-5 and going to help my teammates out in the 3-4. So I'm coming off of age group nationals triathlon where I got 5th place and I got 2nd in my age group, 5th overall, 2nd in the age group. And so I haven't really been running or riding my bike this week at all. So this week I really wanted to go for Derek, who was in the field. So see, I just bring the speed up, bring the power back up. One thing I've noticed is that a lot of my training has really brought me down and made me really tired over the last few months. And now that I've been resting for an extended time, more than just a day or two, my heart rate is able to climb back up really rapidly. It also comes down pretty rapidly too. So in this race today we had a lot of the big hitters from Epic, Team Epic. We had a couple from Larry H. Miller, my teammates, and then a few people individual and a few tri-zone guys. So in this race I was really hoping to launch Derek on either a bridge on a breakaway or to help set him up for a win in the sprint. So I've been on the front for a few laps at the beginning of the race, trying to keep the speeds high. Just sitting, seeing how long I can stay up. So here we go. We have Derek coming past with Ben and Catherine and Troy. So Derek and Troy are on my team, so I want to let that go. And then you see the two other big hitters in this race right there. They are both Venezuelan ex-pro track cyclists and road cyclists. So they've got really high FTPs, they've got really good sprints, their cornering is really good. But the one thing I just can't help but ask is why are they in this race, right? This is the B group, and most of us here have been riding for a few years, or at least riding competitively or riding structured workouts for only a couple years. So I mean, it's just, in my opinion, they're just sandbagging the race, and you'll see that it makes it, in my opinion, no fun at all, and it doesn't really promote to good racing if you're just so strong that it doesn't really matter what you do. It really is not fun. So this guy right here I'm coming up on, he did the Masters A race. So I decided to put in a dig, and he's gonna get on my wheel. I can't remember if this attack sticks or if it's a different attack that sticks, but it doesn't take long for us to completely shred the field. So luckily I was feeling pretty good in the coming into the race, so I was able to do many of these attacks. My heart rate, as you can see, is already really high, up to 190 there. So yeah, so we got caught, and there goes Logan, and then one of the Venezuelan guys. Logan mentioned in his last one of my later videos, recent videos, that he was having some fatigue issues, so luckily he's been taking some time off the bike and just mentally easy time, so hopefully he gets back to fitness. So you can see this Venezuelan guy, he takes the corners, pretty much pedaling through all of them. He's just able to go so fast. Lucky for me and Logan, we're both a little bit bigger of guys, so we're able to bring him back as he flies through the corners. So I believe our group is all back together at this point. Logan's pulling on the front for his teammate Ben, who I believe is in the back. It's in the pack. So at this point we've already lapped the rider. We're only 7.5 minutes in to the race. So speed, I kept the speed really high for the field, and then all these attacks have slowly started to make the pack dwindle. Here I go. Putting in another little dig. I believe I saw a little gap in the field, and so I went for it. And here we go. We are lapping a couple more riders. And then we're gonna have our Venezuelan guy as he takes the corners. He would keep doing these attacks on me in the field. I really just wanted to work with him. I didn't really want to go as hard as he was going here, but we were kind of lapping some more riders. So a lot of times he would do these little attacks, and then I would be forced to bring it back or just let him go, as we're in a little group of 2. So I really wanted to work with him and just pull even laps. I told him, let's rotate laps, but anytime I pulled off the front, he would just attack me, and then I'd be forced to bring it back. Eventually it gets to the point where I'm no longer motivated to pull in the front, and I ended up just sitting on his wheel. We'll see that later on, but here we are, me just trying to show some cooperation and him just smashing it and around the little chicane right there. So There goes the other Venezuelan guy. So now there's 2 of them. And this is, if I let up the gas at all, that gap could go expanding so fast. It's just so much. Those 2 guys are just so strong, and their cornering is so good that they could keep their speed up for a long time. So, luckily for me, I like to do more extended efforts and not really do super surgy type efforts. So, I just put my head down and chase him back. Those guys or any of their teammates are watching, it's going to take a lot more to drop me than just a few attacks. So at this point, I'm no longer willing to work with these guys. I'll get on the front here, but as you can see, my power just drops. Not really doing much here. So speed comes down. I'm watching over my shoulder to see when the next attack is gonna come. Watching, and there it goes. See one of the Venezuelan guys come up here. Yep. So the nice part about this course and how turny it is that I can sit and watch these guys and look over my shoulder, watch when they're gonna sprint and try and go for it, and then I can react when I'm on the front. So I mean, just super sketchy corner. I don't think he was telling anybody that we were coming up, which is normally the thing that we do at this race, or whenever we're coming up on somebody's left or inside or outside, we'll front person will yell inside, left to let them know that we're coming up. So then we avoid stuff like that, and then both me and him can take the same lines through the corners. So it's a little unfortunate that he would not call that out. You can see here, no longer working. I'd like to shout out Jack, who was there on the side. He's kind of coaching me, giving me, motivating me, cheering me on to keep working hard. So I'm pretty sure there I saw that he wanted to put an attack in, but I decided to put in a little dig.
What? Two? You got one epic. Here he goes.
There he goes again. Okay, Derek caught us. Ben's there. So I'm gonna force Ben to close this gap, sit on his wheel, not chase back my teammate. It's cycling 101, team tactics. So not chase your teammate back. So I mean, at this point, the entire field is in ones and twos. There's another locked guy, locked him like 3 or 4 times now. Locked that other group. So here I go. I counter. I think that this is the splitting move right here. To finally break that group. There were 5 of us in there. There were the 2 Venezuelans, me, Derek, and Ben. So at this point it's just me and one of the Venezuelans. So I personally thought it was a well-timed counter. Right when Ben caught on and he was kind of tired from closing that gap, I put in a move to get away. I slowed it down, and here he comes, the Venezuelan. So I'm sitting right on his wheel. Dude, super strong rider. Really technically sound with his handling. So Jack there suggesting to just keep it steady, not to get too excited. I let him know there that I wanted to work with him, do 1 lap pulls. So we'll see that he of course doesn't do 1 lap pulls with me, and instead chooses to attack and attack and attack. So I was like, I thought here, oh wow, he's gonna take a turn, and then he just rams it up. I mean, that might be a turn that he can pull, but that is not a turn that I can pull. That is way too aggressive for me to work with that. So you can see here 26, 27, 28 miles an hour. And I decide that I'll take a pull here on the front. Just sit around 330-ish watts. 300 watts. Yeah. Filming this one a little bit later than normal. It's been almost a week and a half since this race. I had a race. I did this crit again a couple days ago on Wednesday. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get a GoPro, so I don't have any of that footage. But one of the Venezuelan guys was there, and he shut down every move and brought his protected sprinter into the finish, where he proceeded to outsprint his sprinter, and I think they went 1 and 3 in the race or something like that. But yeah, so we go the Venezuelan up on his wheel. He flicks me through. Jack's out there. Tell me to not get too excited, not go too crazy. That tends to be one difficulty for me, is that I tend to get excited and want to work. I'm really strong in the field, and so it's really I don't want to just sit in and do nothing all race, but that can lead to people taking advantage of me. So he came by there, that one of those corners where the cone was knocked over, so I give him a heads up. And you can see out of the corner, when
when I wanted him to take a pull, he rather sprinted and attacked me. So I bring back up the power, bring back up the speed, and I know I gotta close that gap, otherwise my race will be over. Jack out there encouraging me. So in my head, the gap is really only a few seconds, like 3-ish seconds. There you go. The guy fixed the cones, but it was really only a few seconds of a gap, and so I knew I just had to put my head down and just push and close that gap if I wanted any chance of staying with him or keeping the race together. You can see here, no longer am I willing to take a pole, just be foolish. Other times I will be on the front. You can see Foot tries and flicks me through, and I'm not playing that game with him. Instead, kind of puts in a little dig, and I'm right there to close that. So he later in the race, when I was riding up side by side with him, he's like, "Help pull," and I said no, wasn't gonna do that. See, his cornering, he comes out of these corners, he comes out so fast and just opens up a gap. So hardly a massive attack, just a little bit of a push. Takes the corners really fast, comes out, sees that he has a gap, and he's back on the gas, out of the saddle, doing all he can to sprint away from me. So I just keep closing the gap. It's encouraging to know that he is a track sprinter, and that I'm able to keep up with this professional level of a cyclist. Although it did send me into the red, you can see 192 beats per minute. Just doing what I can to close him down. So yeah, later in the race, he would try and flick me through. I wasn't having it. Jack at one point heard him telling me to help him pull. You can see him here cheering me on, telling me to stay calm, stay steady, to not work with him, and to not listen to what he says. So it's pretty sound advice, because here he goes again. He's coming up behind me, trying to put in a little sprint, a little attack. But these laps where I'm on the front, I'm probably looking behind, I don't know, 85% of the time. If I'm not going through a corner, I'm looking back, looking forward, looking back, just watching him the entire time. I'll look forward to make sure I'm not going to run into anything. But at this point, looking backwards. And I can see him coming up. Here he goes. He was able to just repeat the same attacks just over and over again, which is something that I think would be really cool to be able to do someday. Is be able to do these multiple sprints just every time. I was able to bring him back, but if you go back and look, it takes a little bit longer. He gets out maybe a little bit farther, maybe like a half second or so farther each attack, but then it takes me a little bit longer, like 10 or so seconds more each attack. So the first attack gets 2 seconds and 10 seconds of a gap. And if you get to 2 seconds of a gap, it takes me 10 seconds to bring it back. The second one might be 2.5 seconds of a gap and take me 20 seconds to bring it back. As you can see, he attacked me back at the chicane. And I'm only now being able to make it only close like half the gap and half a lap. So closing this gap is probably going to take me more than a minute. This race really hurt mentally. Really wanted to give up at multiple parts, especially since we had, I want to say 30 seconds of a gap on the chasing pack of Derek, Ben, and the other Venezuelan. And here we are lapping the main field, where we have Logan, Catherine, and an attack like that right there, just absolutely demoralizing. He saw that I nearly closed the gap, and what does he do? Attacks. His race tactics on point, his handling on point, just so hard. And from here, I decided to mentally decide that I was going to get him back, but I just couldn't think about closing that entire gap. Because if you look, he's like all the way to the finish line now. So I just had to take it rider by rider. So I just needed to get up, get on this lady's wheel, and pass her. So luckily Logan did a lot of the work there and helped bring him back. But just got to pick off riders one by one to get back to him. So now we got Logan, Catherine, and Troy, Venezuelan, me, and another lady. Well, I was thinking about how I could win against him. And so what I had thought of was he's got really good cornering and he's got a really good sprint. So if it just came up to a straight up field sprint, he was absolutely going to destroy me and beat everybody else. So I believe we come in with 1 to go here. So my strategy was to box him in, see if I couldn't hold him there when we're coming around the chicane, keep him pushed outside, and then sprint and beat him. So kind of lose the wheel, unfortunately, a little bit there, but so I have to make a little move to close it back. That was actually 2 laps ago. My bad about that. So you can see Troy here on my team coming in to close on his wheel. And this is where we have 1 lap to go. So we're going to come through the bell lap. Unfortunately, I'm still off the wheel. Or no, that was 3 to go. Last lap. We're now on 2 to go. So just trying to close this gap back to Troy. Can't really worry about my heart rate, worry about my power. I just have to get back. At the speeds that we're going to draft, like most cyclists know, the draft is super important to have when you're going over anything. In fact, anything over like 8 miles an hour, you really should have somebody to draft on. So when we're going 25 plus, we really want somebody There we go. Here comes the bell lap. So here we go, kind of making my move. I get up past Troy. He gives me some words of encouragement, although I don't really recognize it at the moment. So I'm thinking, this is a great position for me. Logan's a much more of a threshold guy rather than a sprinter. Catherine, she's really strong and holds her bike really well. And I'm like, this is perfect. We're gonna box him in here on the inside and push him out. But then right at that moment, Logan dips off the front. Catherine takes it up, and I just can't get there. So I just do all I can, and then he goes and just walks away from us all. So I mean, congrats my guy, but at the same time, you're ex-pro. Hope to see you guys in my next video. I'm going to talk about the Sugar House crit and my crash there.